What's going on, everyone? It is Cam here with Rinse Detailing. I wanted to make this quick video after a really long work day. I worked on a 4Runner for like 10 hours, so I'm like tired, hot, sweaty. But I wanted to make a video quickly for you guys about why I decided to move completely away from my mobile detailing setup to a physical location. Number one, big thanks to the folks that believed in me enough to let me use this space. I got introduced to someone who really kind of took a leap of faith, bet on me, and they're really going out of their way to help me out here with this space. So big shout out to them. A little bit of background information though. I did, hey, Ash, come here. A little bit of background information though. I started this business about 4 months ago, and man, it's been a grind. Like every couple weeks, something big has changed, and finally having a physical location is just really nice. It allows me to like relax a little bit. Although, as you know, the stressors of small business life are crazy. But yeah, so I started off doing mobile. Well, actually, my first couple details were at a house. When I first moved up to Idaho, I did them out of a house, then went fully mobile. I put everything in my Navigator, did that for, about a month or so. Then I took the seats out of the Navigator as I kind of added to my equipment, and then eventually outgrew that, decided to get a trailer, and put a ton of time, money, and effort into building a custom detailing trailer, only to have come to the realization about a month into doing so that the way I was changing my business, I'm butchering this. What I wanted to do with my business and the way I wanted to go meant that doing mobile only wasn't going to be the route I wanted to do. So I had to make the hard decision to pivot away from that and find a physical location. And I want to talk about why, because a lot of people, I think when they're starting a detailing business, they're like, oh, should I do mobile? Should I not do mobile? There's a lot of hype around mobile. And not many people talk about kind of like the drawbacks of mobile, which I encountered. And I just want to say, this is just my experience. Like everyone's business is going to operate differently. Everyone's going to need different things depending on like the services they're selling, where they're located, what their goals are for their company. So just take everything I say with a grain of salt, because it probably is going to be different for every single company. So starting off, I just wanted to talk about the pros of mobile detailing. Number one, you get to go all around town. No matter where you are, you can service clients who normally wouldn't be clients that would be able to drop their cars off at a physical location. So being able to go to one part of town, then to another part of town, and doing that gives you the ability to, service a bunch more clients than, than just a physical shop. So that's really cool. Number two, the barriers to entry are much, much lower than getting into a physical space. Commercial properties have longer leases, 1 to 2 to 3 years sometimes. They require like a lot of financial information to even like create a lease for you in the beginning. So the overhead for a physical shop is a lot higher, right? When you're mobile, you can get started with a vehicle and some equipment, and you are good to go. So that's really great about mobile. Low barriers to entry. You can service a lot of people. And if your business is doing high volume, like 2, 3, 4 jobs a day, it just makes it easier to get those in because you are going to the people. Also, a lot of people like that. A lot of people work from home, can't afford to, drop their car off, drive to and from. So that's where mobile is great. That being said, I did experience a number of cons with mobile, and I don't think a lot of people talk about them as much because I'm not sure why, but here are some of the cons that I experienced that led me to eventually decide, hey, like the way I'm running my business, I need to go into a physical location. With mobile, number one, if you are doing more like really extensive, longer details, like if you're doing like $400 to $800 details, and you're taking a car, spending 8 hours on it, which is what I like doing a little bit more than kind of more of like the express stuff. I was just running into feeling a little bit pressured um, with time. Like when you get to someone's house or their property, you're parking on their turf. Um, they, even though if you like set the expectation, hey, this is going to take 6 hours, this is going to take that amount of time. I often found that people like at hour 4 roughly, they would kind of come out and they're check-in. You can just tell they're asking questions. You can just tell they're kind of ready to get things going. And so I just consistently felt like I was running into time constraints, and I just felt like I like going above and beyond. I love doing a little bit of extra work here just to make sure that people are happy with the work I do. And I just felt like I was consistently running into people just coming out, checking in on the car. As detailers, that like when you're 70% done, you haven't done the final touches, and someone comes out and they're looking inside of it. It's just like, it can be fine, but sometimes people are like, hey, you missed a spot. It's like, well, there's a lot of stuff we got to do still to bring it all together. That was number one. Number two, a lot of the clients I was working with were super cool, totally fine with everything because it's their car getting the work done. But a lot of neighborhoods I was in, their neighbors were not as cool with taking up a lot of parking because I had my trailer, my SUV, B, running loud generators, and then C, water runoff. I know that in different states there's different laws and regulations, but even though I use like biodegradable soap, I had some people complain about that. And so, just that I would run into that where they weren't happy about this operation going on. I'm not sure what it is. Mobile detailing here in Idaho isn't that popular compared to places like California, Arizona, places like that. So I don't know. People just weren't as comfortable with it. I actually had a elderly lady pretty much threatened to call the police on us because we were potentially in violation of parking where we were. And she, quote unquote, said, you're making me very uncomfortable. I don't feel safe walking on the sidewalk past your trailer. And yeah, it was just like, all right, we moved it, but it just added a good like hour of like packing everything up, moving, unpacking, and then repacking up. And so, yeah, you deal with like things like that. And so that was another con of everything with the mobile. And then I'm just trying to think here. Something else. And then another con with mobile is I think when people, when they're looking to book a mobile service, I think people, including myself, think, hey, it's mobile, it's going to be cheaper. It's not going to be as good as like a physical shop service. And even I thought that. So this ties into, with mobile, you have a lot of costs, right? Driving around from place to place incurs a lot of charges. Like, gas is expensive now, $5 a gallon. You're towing a trailer. If you're driving, 30 minutes one way, 30 minutes there. I mean, it's not uncommon to drive 2 hours a day with your setup. So then once you get there, you got to unpack your stuff. Might take 15 minutes to unpack and then 15 minutes to pack up. You're chatting with the customer, building that rapport. And, not to mention the night before when you're packing your trailer, I mean, that's setup time too. So, all said and done, you're probably adding a good 2 hours of miscellaneous setup with your detail jobs for that day. And pairing that with a lot of people are like, well, that just increase your prices, right? As mobile detailers, it's like, you're offering a premium service. You're spending extra money like getting there and filling up and all that other stuff. Why not just increase your prices? Well, this kind of ties into something that's interesting where because the barriers of entry with mobile detailing are so low, you are constantly competing with companies that are brand new and they're, a month or 2 months into their thing. And so I'm kind of like segueing into another topic here, but mobile detailing barriers to entry are so low that you're competing against people who are not going to be in business 3 months from now, which like I'm not saying those are bad people, but typically when you get into mobile detailing, your prices are lower, right? So you can get more business. But what's interesting is with the lower prices, those new companies are undercutting everyone else by price. And so, you have a lot of folks who will only get a detail once every 2 years, right? And so every 2 years, they're looking for the lowest price. And boom, there's going to be a new company that's offering a full in and out for 120. But then, they're not getting another detail for 2 years. But in that 2 years, that company doing that service for 120, they're undercharging so much that in 3 months, they're probably not going to be able to make enough money to sustain their business. So, it's just the whole low barrier to entry thing. There's more competition. You're competing against pricing instead of quality as much. So, yeah, I think those are the main cons I ran into with mobile. One last thing is the weather. Because my detail jobs are a little bit longer, like I think I specialize a little bit more in like more thorough, like 5-6 hour details rather than express 1 to 3 hour details. I was running into weather patterns changing a lot. Here in Idaho, it's super hot in the summer, it gets up to 105 during the day. In the winter, it can snow, right? So doing mobile only is tough because things are a little bit inconsistent. And I had to stop and think for a second. I was like, you know what? When it like around November or so, it's gonna start getting really cold. So I just don't know if it's worth it for me to do mobile, wash a car, and then have it freeze on their driveway, and then that would cause a whole nother set of issues. And so another con for mobile, I think, if you're in a climate like this, that's like, 4 seasons, is you got to you need to figure out what you're going to do as the seasons change. So, those cons of mobile are essentially those what was I going to say? So those cons of mobile are essentially the reasons why I decided to find a physical location. And what's really great about a physical location, at least for me, is I don't have to worry so much about setup and takedown, setup and takedown. I can just go to my spot and consistently work in my own location. And so as I have been improving my technical detailing skills and doing more things like paint correction and stuff like that, having a really consistent, comfortable place to work, I think, is really important. Also, the weather doesn't impact me as much. I can just bring a car in and without any distractions can just work. So if I'm working on a car for 7 to 8 hours, it's cool. I can bring it inside. I can work on it. I can, go run to the restroom, go get a bite to eat quick, pause for 20 minutes, take a little break, come back. I think what's tough with mobile, going back to that, is you don't really have the ability on these longer jobs to just take a break for 20 minutes. You can, but it just, I don't know. When people are charging you by the job and you're on their property, it just, I don't know. For me, I felt uncomfortable doing that and I didn't do it. Some people might do it though, and that's totally cool. But yeah, I mean, so far the little physical space, not doing mobile has been great. Like I can take breaks, I can use a restroom, get some food. I can film content, which is really nice. I didn't feel as comfortable doing that doing mobile jobs because a lot of people were like there, and I didn't want to get like house addresses in, stuff like that. So, yeah, that's why I decided to move to a physical location. Is it the right decision for everyone? I don't think so. I think it depends on what you're doing. It depends on where your business is headed, what services you're doing, what weather is like in your area. There's a million different factors that come into play. But I think look into both, see what makes sense for you, not just in the next month, in the next 6 months, next year, maybe 6 months. And yeah, run through the different scenarios. And if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Instagram. It's rinse_detailing, or leave a comment and I'll try to, respond to those. But yeah, I think like any small business owner knows, you think you know it all within the first 3 weeks of starting your business. And then as soon as you kind of get past that first little month or so, it's just an uphill climb to keep learning more and improving. So if you have any advice for me, let me know. I love learning from folks and seeing what I can improve upon. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you guys on the next video. Cam out.